Back in 2009, Ron McCurdy called us all individually on a project that he started. He played trumpet, and we were all on vocals.
His backing quartet.
His backing quartet. And we did some gigs, and we recorded a CD, and did some more, couple shows after that, and then the project dissolved after that, and we sort of missed singing together. And we decided, some time passed, and maybe about a year or so after that, and we decided that we wanted to continue singing together. We had all sung together in different settings.
Right.
And when the four of us got together and sang, it was like magic. And we decided that we really needed to form a group and do something about it.
Yep.
And we did.
Yeah.
Here we are.
I guess officially, as the new group, we've been performing since 2000, probably officially since 2012.
Yeah.
And our first real big gig was actually up in Northern California.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Auckland.
Yes, in Oakland. But yeah, I would say since 2012.
Yeah, about 4 years now then.
Yeah.
4 years, you guys.
Nice.
I think today, acapella, it's kind of become this cultural phenomenon. You know, you had shows like the Sing Off and Glee that kind of brought it to the mainstream. I think it's social nature. It requires you to get in a group with people and sing.
Yeah.
Which is cool, and it draws on pop music and does acapella versions of it. It draws on current music that the kids these days are listening to.
Right.
And I mean that's what makes, I think, pop or acapella music kind of the clever thing. And vocal jazz has done that for a long time, drawing on influence of pop music. It's doing it more and more now as time goes on. That's what's so cool about jazz, is its ability to evolve and take on music of today and affect it with the vocal jazz stylization. You know, you know, in terms of making it today, you know, it's how does one make it today? You know, I think of, you know, groups like ours. You know, you could have there's another thing out there, postmodern jukebox. You know, they take a pop song and they kind of do a jazz big band swing, or you know they'll put what would be considered a classic American stylization of a contemporary pop song. And they have a YouTube channel, and they have millions of followers. They just completed a worldwide tour. You know, we could do that. We take a pop song and jazz it out.
Yeah.
I don't think, though, that a group like ours or like Postmodern Jukebox, I don't know that it was created to be successful. It's just this thing that was created to be an artistic outlet and be an artistic entity. And whatever success came of it is what they got.
Well, and going off of that is that the acapella phenomenon, and like Pentatonics and Pitch Perfect, and how those things have become so popular. My guess is also because it's group oriented, so people are working together, and that it's very inclusive and includes a lot of people, and everybody gets to be creative and work together, and that's very fulfilling, I think, and joyful, and it takes a lot of commitment and hard work and dedication, and that process is it's compelling, I think, for people.
Yeah, I mean, we all go to a lot of a cappella or vocal jazz festivals and judge and perform and do different things, and certainly there's people there that want to be stars, but I'm not sure that's always the primary goal. I mean, especially on the vocal jazz side of things, you have people that just want to be better singers and better musicians, and they want to be creative, and they want to connect to an audience, and whether that audience is 10 people or 10,000 people, you know, and so it's a little different goal than I must be successful and make tons of money at all costs.
Right.
Yes, about communication and connection.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And creativity and putting all that together.
Yeah.
For sure. Miracosta College, in Oceanside. So I'm a full-time college director. I do piano and vocal jazz and classical theory and the whole bit. So I'm pretty well settled in that. These three are all session singers of some variety, some shape and form.
Yes.
All successful and have different jobs and things on the side too. So I'm the one that's kind of in academia full time.
We've done film, TV,
live performance.
Live performance, commercials.
Yeah.
All the sort of runs the gamut. And we've all done some teaching and coaching. And
I think the name of the game of being a musician in LA these days is diversification. It's not just about being really good at one thing. You kind of have to have multiple tools in your kit.
Mm-hmm. Training in different styles.
Yes, different styles. Ability to sing in a legit choir and then go jump into a vocal jazz ensemble.
Right.
And also reading. So being able to sight read, but also be able to come up with parts without having music written.
Overall
by
musicianship.
ear.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Paramount.
Yes.
The industry changes.
Yeah.
I've been hearing ever since I got started about the golden age of session work, and it sounds really cool.
Right.
Yeah.
3 gigs a day, 6 days a week, boom, 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 going from gig to gig. Even you had subs for your union gigs.
Wow.
I've heard of people forgetting about gigs that they did because they had so many.
I look
and then
forward.
checks would come in the mail and go, oh, what was this? Oh, I remember that.
I'll know I have made it when I forget a gig.
Right.
Right. But how many years have you?
I've been doing
been session singing the longest of all.
Since I was 16, which is 4 years ago.
Right.
No, I've been doing it since the 90s, since I was a boy soprano.
So how have you seen that evolve for you?
I mean, it's changed. I was never part of that paradigm, so I, in terms of work drying up, I never knew that paradigm enough to know it was gone.
Sure.
The industry we're in now is kind of what I came up in. It was that reality was adjusting. I came up right at the turning point there, I believe. Mm-hmm. And work dries up. I think work changes.
Yeah.
The different types of work that one does, it just changes.
And especially as a musician, things are always changing, so you're always having to make sure you've got all your bases covered.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think back in the day there was more specialization, and nowadays, like I was saying, having diversification and being able to do things. I mean, that's why a guy like Don Shelton to me was like the pioneer of diversification. That's why he still works.
Yeah.
He is a beast. He's an icon in our world.
Yeah.
And Clark too, for that matter. My goodness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, copyright's an interesting and really often misunderstood issue by educators specifically because a lot of times they think, oh, I work in a school and that means I'm covered by everything and I can't be sued and everything is legal and that of course is not the case. That's definitely not what U.S. copyright law says. But it's a gray area. When you look at U.S. copyright law, it's actually illegal to create an arrangement without getting the permission of the composer. That's the letter of the law, and most people don't understand that or don't know that. Is that enforceable? Not in a real sense.
Right.
But when we do something, we always try to, actually one of our missions is really touching some of the contemporary jazz compositions out there and songs. And a lot of the songs that we do, we know the composer of, so we can talk to them. We can get it legal. But, I think it's important to do your best to observe the copyright law, and it's important to, when you can, be in touch with the composer to get the permission. Those of us that, like Fletcher and I, who write arrangements and get them out there, and I have my own publishing company, Matt Fall Music, I'm always contacting composers, but also trying to get in touch with the big companies, with the Hal Leonards and the Alfreds, and trying to get rights for some of those things. I don't think copyright law in particular requires huge changes the way it is. Mm-hmm. It would be nice if some of the independent arrangers, people that want to write a cappella, cover an a cappella tune, cover a jazz standard, could do some sort of sub-licensing that was easy to do, that you could just kind of pay your set fee and you get to use the tune for 3 years or something like that. Because right now the kind of the way it works is that, you know, the only way to get a large company to put out an arrangement of the song is if it will sell, you know, however many tens of thousands of copies, which means you have to kind of dumb it down to the lowest common denominator. So to get arrangements, a cappella vocal jazz arrangements of any quality out there, you're looking at a much smaller audience, and that can be really financially infeasible to do that. So yeah, we've got 2 business of music courses that are taught in our music tech department. And we go through the whole thing, and of course, just like the studio world, everything is just constantly changing too, as far as what people will do. But yeah, so we do cover some of that at the school and in our tech certificates. I don't teach that class in particular, but it's an important thing to consider.
I think yes, all of the above. All of the above. I mean, we want to do more of what we're doing now, performing, like you said, doing festivals, you know, doing clinicking. Recording, yeah. And I think because we're all sort of tied to education, we're all teachers in some way, we definitely want to keep that going. And just to do more, all of those things, I think for me personally, as a musician, those are the things that education, performing, sort of, they both help each other. You know, as a teacher, I feel like I learn a lot when I'm teaching stuff, when I'm coaching groups, and when I'm performing myself, I learn stuff. When I go hear other groups, I learn stuff. So just, I think we want to keep doing all those things to kind of make us sound better and learn new things and be able to do new things as a group, performing wise.
I think just going down the rabbit hole of what this artistic entity, the next evolution point, you know, what we started with our first album, which is available on iTunes.
Yes. And CD Baby.
And CD. You know, continuing down that rabbit hole, continuing that journey.
Yeah.
Finding out, you know, the stuff we want to do and where to take it from here.
And I think continuing the vocal jazz tradition, and not necessarily as it was traditionally only, but as it moves forward in contemporary music, to see how it evolves and to keep it going as a performance art and also within education.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that we value a lot is the relationship with our band as well. We don't view them as just accompanists, and we don't always have the same band on every concert or gig that we do, but we try to stay fairly consistent and musically there's a lot of give and take. So we're not just the singers in front and I don't know, they're doing whatever behind us, but we really try to be as much of an entity as we can. And I think that has to do with the nature of the repertoire we pick too, the contemporary jazz and the improvising
and the very specialized arrangements. It's not just a read down some standards charts type of gig. You know, the arrangements we have are very intricately arranged for our rhythm section.
Yeah.
So you got to have guys that are familiar with the rep.
But what I love about a group like New York Voices is that they're performing at educational festivals, and then they're also turning around being the clinician. And I think we are all enjoying that, doing that too. And getting younger students excited about music, excited about jazz. You know, we'll do a little bit of scat singing in our performances and some different things that a lot of groups don't always do, but we think it's fun and we think it's important to be creative and try to inspire.
Yeah. That was my thought actually about that was with the scat singing, because maybe not a lot of groups do that a whole lot. When we incorporate that, we're giving examples of what that can look like today.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Oh, that is a good question. What did I learn? Well, let me first say that I had the time of my life. That was an incredible experience for me. What did I learn? You know, being on the stage with Janice, Alan, and Tim was a lesson in itself, because they have all three of them had a lifetime of being professional performers and touring artists. So I learned a lot about traveling and being on the road and maintaining my instrument, which was challenging, especially going from different climates and being on planes. And that was very, very challenging for me and for my voice. Yeah. So I learned some tips from them. And also how to walk in to a new venue and immediately make a home there. Adjust to the sound system and to the staff. Yep. And just find a I guess I kind of already said it, make a home there and be in it from moment to moment in that new space and with the people on the stage. And they also they use a lot of the same instrumentalists in their band, but they also changed too. So that was a shift sometimes, going from performance to performance, which was very exciting. They travel with sound engineers. They also then their sound engineers work with the
house.
The house, thank you, the house crew.
Yeah, any group that wants to sound good live. And especially having been in an a cappella group for a while.
Which group is that?
Impact. We travel. We go everywhere with our sound guy. He is our 7th member. And one of the things that we made a point right at the beginning was we need a sound guy to bring along with us. And so we have our own sound guy that we take with us to whatever venue we're doing. Even if we're doing a club, if we're doing a performing arts center, whatever. We've got someone who is at the front of house, who understands what we do, how we sing, when we sing certain ways, like how to keep the whole thing sounding cohesive, because the sound system is an instrument, and that's a revelation. You know, when we're in school and we just think of sound gear as this stuff we put in front of our face and it amplifies us, but it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's the goal. I think that's the name of the game in small group ensemble singing is you take on the character of the song you're doing. And I'm a very big believer in the acting component of singing.
Right.
We focus so much on technique and vowels and this, but there's this other added element of conveying a story, telling a story, and conveying emotion. And I think those elements affect how your vowels and tuning. I mean, tuning should always be awesome, but you know, they all help paint the picture that you are creating sonically.
Yeah. When we did a couple gigs with Don, we were lucky enough to get to actually make some music with him, and we did one of the songs we did was Like Someone in Love, the Singers Unlimited, and we had Don, with us, and that was just, first of all, an amazing experience.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
But that was the big thing. We were so used to what we heard on the recording, but when we started doing it with him, he really encouraged us to just really be in the moment with the lyric and warm up in some places, brighten up in some places, to really get inside and keep that song fresh. And as I know, as I go out and continue to clinic vocal jazz groups that are working on these things, that's one of the things I see them struggle with a lot is how to get the different vocal colors in their voice, because they all know they need to sing with dynamics. So everybody's pretty much good at singing loud and soft, but the brights and the warms, knowing that the sopranos are up, so everybody needs to brighten and pull the sound forward.
Yeah.
Or, hey, this is a ballad, so now we take the ring out of the front of the mouth and we kind of let it relax. Yeah. Those kinds of subtleties are actually where I see a lot of school groups kind of, in the process of learning how to do. So
I think that a lot of people, or a lot of, in jazz settings, they forget that the voice is an instrument and it has a huge range of sounds, and we're able to do so many different things. Recently, I was in a group that was working with Kronos Quartet, and it was amazing. But, the way that they tune, it's not just, they're not just tuning notes, they're tuning the sound. They'll play a passage, oh, that's not right, that's too bright, like you said, too bright, too dark. And, subtle changes. And as singers, we're able to do that. And I think, like you said, a lot of these college groups or high school groups, they forget that is in their repertoire, that they're able to do that. And that can really change the tone of a song or a phrase, and I think with our sort of collective background, we've had so much experience in different types of music that we can bring that to what we do and able to color a certain sound if we want a more classical sound or a more jazz sound or more pop sound. I think a lot of young groups forget that that's very important to making your own sound as a group, you know, a true north sound. Or, you know.
I think it also we get stuck with thinking about the sound that we're making and ignore the lyrics and using how the diction itself can affect the tone and the what we're trying to communicate emotionally or with the story.
For sure.
That we have lyrics, unlike instruments, and that we can use that musically, almost like, I mean, I'm not sure how to make an analogy right now, but maybe like a horn player would modify the tone or just the tonguing. We have a lyric that we can almost do the similar thing with.
If we do tonguing, it just sounds weird, though.
Right, that's true.
Right.
We had that one. And there in your face are the places my heart calls home. My heart calls home. They're the places my heart calls home.
So, a lot of what we did, you'll notice there are moments, little moments, where the focus, like, we're all together in homophony mode. The places my heart calls home. We're watching her mouth so that we're all together. It's all about knowing who's got the focus, who's got the, you know. So if we're like, and there in your face, the three of us are locking in on our ooh-vow.
Right.
Well, she's doing her thing. We come back together. We all look at her. I mean, not
or when you guys do the my heart.
Right. The two of us lock
that's
in.
Alto tenor.
It's knowing where the focus is. And that's a game that changes from moment to moment. It's not just like this verse. It's not always the sopranos.
It's
sopranos,
not always
sorry.
the Sopranos.
So we rehearse, you know, so I would rehearse a section like that, and I would talk about kind of the specifics. I'd talk about, okay, this is how we're going to shape these vowels. This is where the height of this phrase is, so we move toward that, and all those sorts of things. And after you're done talking about those technical issues, then you kind of want to step back from it and go, okay, what are we saying lyrically? Now that we've got all those tools in our tool belt, now how can we color this and shape this and move this so that we're moving people as we're singing and not just, we did it right. Good job, us.
We executed the correct notes.
Yes.